on the air. This
Right.
is how arrogant the government is in California. This is how bad it is when one party controls any government of either party.
Right.
I was embarrassing them on the air
Right.
for weeks, and still nothing happened
Right.
until the governor himself intervened and said, this is getting embarrassing.
Right.
And of course, it was a bunch of bullshit. None of it ever needed to happen.
Right.
It wasn't even the one that bothered me the most. The one that bothered me the most was my garage door. When I moved into this house, it had a 3 garage door. It doesn't fit 3 cars. I don't know what these cars are. It fits 3 motorcycles.
Right.
I don't live in a fucking mansion. I don't want to. I live alone. Okay? I've got a wonderful house. Happy to have it. No one would mistake it for lifestyles of the rich and famous. Okay. So I wanted to change my 3-car garage, wink, wink, to what it should be, a 2-car garage. This took 3 inspections. Inspections?
Right.
I'm just changing my garage. Why do you have to be involved in my life when I'm changing my garage?
Because
if it falls down on my head, that's my fault for doing it with a bad
Bill Maher and Adam Carolla just tore into California's controversial one-party system, and it was ruthless. The duo explained why the state is spiraling and what they believe could fix the damage left by Democrats. This video brings the fireworks. If you love scorching political takes, hit subscribe, and let's jump right in. Don't miss a second.
And all of the above. I had to deal with all of it. And I would always say, look, if you're living in Santa Monica and you have rent control apartment, good. Vote the way you vote. I get it. But buy a piece of land. Get a home. Go to the city. Try to pull a permit. And then tell me how you feel about this government. Because I think it's too fucking big. And you go, what? We get rent control. Yeah, you get rent control. Go buy a piece of property. Try to do a remod. Go talk to the city. And then tell me how you feel.
Because you're doing this to your home.
Right. And I've done
You were wiped out.
I wasn't wiped out. My home is intact in Malibu. Everything around it is burned.
It was Bill Maher, then Mel Gibson, and now Adam Carolla, all hammering the same sore spot, the suffocating bureaucracy around building a home in California. Carolla says whenever he points out how absurd the permitting process has become, the knee-jerk reply is always the same: California has rent control. As if that solves anything. Carolla argues it completely misses the point. Not everyone wants to rent, and for many, renting isn't a realistic long-term plan. Rent control doesn't create new homes, speed up construction, or help families who want to build and own. Instead, endless regulations and delays make housing scarcer and more expensive. Critics like Carolla say California doesn't lack good intentions, it's drowning in red tape. Until that changes, the housing crisis will keep getting worse.
Business was doing it to other
why did your
people's
home
homes.
survive?
God loves me. You should know that.
No, really? Everything around you burned?
I would say 80% of what was around me burned. And
Did you take precautions that others didn't? Did you like
wear a condom?
Wet the roof?
No, I didn't.
I changed my roof since last year. I have a whole different roof.
I know.
And I have a thing that goes in the pool where you
pump it.
You shoot the pool up on the roof.
No, I did nothing in just complete luck of the draw. Like the Hood, the SS Hood, which was a British ship, sunk blown up by the Bismarck in World War II, and 1,800 sailors went to the ground and 6 popped up. Went to the drink and 6.
Maher's question is straightforward. Has all this bureaucracy and red tape actually reduced fire incidents in California? After years of regulations and oversight, you'd expect measurable improvement, but the answer keeps coming back the same: no. Wildfires still rage, homes are lost, and communities are displaced. That's where Maher's frustration kicks in. If a system is built to solve a problem but keeps failing, what purpose does it serve? Instead of protecting people, the bureaucracy often slows rebuilding, raises costs, and traps residents in paperwork. Maher isn't arguing against safety, he's questioning inefficiency. His point is simple. When rules multiply, but results don't improve, the system itself may be the problem.
Are you fucking nuts? And I realized she didn't know what was going on. Then you talked about your garage door. But the point is you got turned a little bit with your solar shack. And I said it a million times. Live in rent control, fine. Go get your own home and try to pull a permit. You'll start thinking more like me. And you try to get your solar shack permit, and that took 2 years.
A quick note on Jane Fonda and her appearance on Club Random. Moments like that highlight how many celebrities live in a bubble, largely insulated from everyday bureaucracy. They're usually not the ones waiting months or years for permits and inspections. Their status alone can smooth obstacles most Americans must endure. When you're earning millions, inflated fees and compliance costs barely register. That disconnect matters. It shapes how celebrities talk about policy and regulation, often without grasping how punishing the system can be for ordinary people trying to build or rebuild their homes.
The air. This is how arrogant the government is in California. This is how bad it is when one party controls any government of either party. I was embarrassing them on the air for weeks, and still nothing happened. Until the governor himself intervened and said, this is getting embarrassing. And of course, it was a bunch of bullshit. None of it ever needed to happen. It wasn't even the one that bothered me the most. The one that bothered me the most was my garage door. When I moved into this house, it had a...
Here's the part that really makes you think. Bill Maher revealed it took him 2 full years just to get a permit for his roof. 2 years. For a roof. Now consider this. If Maher, a nationally known celebrity with resources and even ties to Governor Gavin Newsom, still waited that long, even after Newsom reportedly stepped in, what chance does the average Californian have? The typical homeowner doesn't have a direct line to the governor, a legal team, or the ability to absorb endless delays. For them, every lost month means higher costs and constant uncertainty. Maher's story unintentionally exposes the core issue. The system isn't just slow, it looks fundamentally broken. When even the well-connected struggle to navigate it, bureaucracy starts to look less like protection and more like a barrier grinding everyone down.
Garage door. Okay, it doesn't fit 3 cars. I don't know what these cars are. It fits 3 motorcycles.
I
don't live in a fucking mansion. I don't want to. I live alone. Okay? I've got a wonderful house. Happy to have it. No one would mistake it for lifestyles of the rich and famous. Okay. So I wanted to change my 3-car garage, wink wink, to what it should be, a 2-car garage. This took 3 inspections. Inspections? I'm just changing my garage. Why do you have to be involved in my life when I'm changing my garage?
Because
if it falls down on my head, that's my fault for doing it with a bad...
Maher had to push through all that bureaucracy just to replace a garage door. Let that sink in. This is red tape at its purest, rules for the sake of rules, completely detached from common sense. No homeowner should need a permit to swap out a garage door. It's not a structural overhaul or a public safety crisis. Yet in California, even basic home maintenance can trigger months of paperwork, fees, and inspections. That's why Bill Maher and Adam Carolla keep calling it out. Their argument isn't radical, it's practical. What real harm does changing a garage door cause? None. Instead, these rules slow people down, raise costs, and frustrate homeowners who just want to maintain their property. When simple fixes become bureaucratic nightmares, it's a clear sign the system has lost proportion.
And Trump says, well, we're going to go in and we're going to change the permitting laws. Now, he is obviously a guy who just pulls things out of his ass. I get the impetus to do this. Like, why wouldn't you want to do that? He's the guy who sees a problem anywhere and he goes, I can fix that.
Right.
But is there any jurisdiction for the president to override local permitting laws?
I think I don't know about precedent because no one cared and it never existed. If you're building a log cabin in 1871, there's no court case
Right.
on that. I think he can because I've heard something about it. But the point is,
That's how severe the bureaucracy problem has become. So severe that Bill Maher openly joked about wishing Donald Trump would step in and fix it. And that says a lot. Maher and Trump are hardly allies. Yes, Maher once had dinner with him, but that didn't change his political instincts. Maher has been clear he would still vote Democrat. But the comment reveals something deeper. When a lifelong liberal even entertains the idea that a political opponent might cut red tape more effectively, it signals serious system failure. Maher wasn't endorsing Trump, he was venting frustration. His point, bureaucracy has grown so bloated that people are desperate for anyone willing to challenge it. When ideology takes a backseat to basic functionality, you know the problem is reaching a breaking point.
for government and the size of government. When you can't do what you want to do on your land that you own and that you pay taxes on, and you need to ask fucking permission from them to do stuff on your land,
Exactly.
then we have gone across the Rubicon. We have crossed the Rubicon. And the fact that I bought a warehouse in Glendale, California.
Frankly, Adam Carolla's argument resonates. When you still need government permission to make basic changes to property you bought with your own money, something has clearly gone off the rails. Ownership starts to feel less like a right and more like a conditional privilege. The promise of property ownership is reasonable control over what you do with it, but when simple upgrades trigger permits, fees, and months of waiting, that promise weakens. Carolla isn't arguing for reckless construction or ignoring safety, he's arguing for proportion and common sense. There's a massive difference between building a high-rise and replacing a door. When the state inserts itself into every minor decision, personal autonomy starts to erode.
Permit, and I went in to the planning commission of the city of Glendale, and I said, I want to pull a permit to do some building on my warehouse. And the 25-year-old chick behind the counter goes, what are you going to do with that warehouse? That I bought, by the way. And I said, I'm going to put some cars in there. And she goes, they might let you do that. And I thought, they might let me do that with my property.
It's infuriating.
It's insane, and it's
infuriating.
huge, and it's a California thing, and unfortunately it's a blue thing, and it's kind of a left thing.
It is.
And and they're encroaching on everything. Step back.
It's genuinely hard to understand why homeowners can't make small, harmless changes to property they legally own and already pay taxes on. These aren't dangerous renovations, just modest improvements that somehow require navigating a maze of agencies. That's why critics argue some of these laws should be scrapped altogether. When regulations stop protecting people and mainly generate fees, delays, and fines, they start looking less like safeguards and more like revenue machines. Every permit and inspection carries a cost, and those costs pile up fast. The result is a process that discourages upkeep and penalizes responsibility. When laws drift away from common sense, it's fair to ask who the system is really serving.
Rules.
I tell this to Gavin every time I talk to him.
Just knock it the fuck off. Just leave people alone.
And he says we're doing it, but I don't see it. To be honest.
Well, also,
he says he's doing it when I confront him with it, but I don't see it.
No, because they're there to make rules. That's why they got into power. They like it.
They like it.
What I want...
That's it. They like it.
I want... my favorite answer from a politician is, I don't know. I'm not in charge. Ask your dad. I don't run your...
Maher and Carolla ultimately land on the same conclusion. This suffocating bureaucracy reflects a broader democratic governance problem. They argue you don't see many red states drowning residents in permits and delays the way California does. Maher also took direct aim at Governor Gavin Newsom, highlighting what he sees as a gap between rhetoric and results. According to Maher, Newsom talks about cutting red tape, but little changes on the ground. Permits still drag on, costs keep rising, and many Californians remain stuck in the same frustrating system. The message is blunt: words without action don't fix broken systems. And that brings us to the end of today's video. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.